Hello, I'm Jelani Liddell, the Student Development Specialist at Georgia Perimeter College, Decatur campus. Information Processing, Part 3 of 3. This section is about using the 30-minute topic completion strategy for Math 98. If you look at the graphic on your screen, we have an example and outline of how your notes should look. This strategy utilizes multiple learning styles. It does not matter what type of learner you are, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic learner, tactile learner. You can use this strategy. It incorporates paraphrasing, it incorporates repetition, it incorporates analysis, it allows you to make connections with the information, and it's very, very good at retaining information. It will definitely increase that aspect. So first, let's look at the first line, topic and date. This may seem self-explanatory, but it's very important because it allows you to be able to review at a later date and find notes in your notebook based on the title of the topic and based on the date that you completed it. The next section is the explanation and steps. This is any relevant information and steps presented by Alex to solve the problems associated with the topic. The statement of understanding should be in your own words. It is a written statement summarizing your understanding of what is required to solve the problems in the topic. This information processing technique improves your memory and retention of the explanation and steps. It is a lot easier to remember an idea that you created than it is to remember an idea that someone told you or an idea that you read. So if you can read the information or someone tells you the information and you can summarize it into your own words, you'll have a better understanding of that information. Therefore, you'll better be able to remember and retain and recall that information. The next section is Alex examples. You want to copy all Alex examples neatly and legibly. This becomes your review manual. You want to be able to identify and recognize each explanation and step within the example. The next section is practice problems. You want to apply your statement of understanding by solving each problem utilizing the explanation and steps, correctly and clearly showing each required step used. This becomes your practice area. You want to do more than the 3 suggested problems in Alex. I would suggest doing 6. The reason that we want to do more than the 3 is because the problems get progressively harder. The first couple may be easy, but if you work all the way through problem 6, the problems will get more difficult and you'll be able to understand those explanation and steps in those more harder problems just as you would in those easier problems. The next slide is 4 reasons to study and review. It's very important that we review. The first reason is that we move our short-term memory to our long-term memory so you don't forget. The second reason, it reduces memory fading, diminishing of information retention. The third important reason is it improves your retrieval. You will no longer misplace information in your mind. You'll be able to recall that and retain that information when you need to. Reason 4, it prevents interference. You won't confuse old information with new information. You'll be able to compartmentalize the information. If you take a look at the graphic, a gentleman by the name of Ebbinghaus in Germany, he studied metacognitive abilities and information processing techniques. And the graphic shows that on day 1, if you receive information, 100% of that information you'll retain. At day 8, it drops to 80%. And if you notice at day 29, which is about a month, it's down at 40%. And 2 months at 57, it's less than 20%. So it's very important that we review at least once a week. If you look at the graphic on the right, at 100% on day 1, if we review by day 14, that's 2 weeks of reviewing, we will increase the information that we retained, and so we would only lose 20% of the initial information that we collected. If we reviewed more frequently, let's say if we reviewed at day 8 or if we reviewed weekly, from that 100%, we would not drop below 80%. the information would stay between that 100 and 80% range. So I would suggest printing off a worksheet and doing a worksheet weekly, and that will increase your retention. Let's talk about some studying and review strategies. You want to try and develop the following habits. Take responsibility. You have to recognize that you need to make decisions about your priorities, your time, and your resources. You have to prioritize. Center yourself around your priorities. Don't let friends and acquaintances dictate what you consider important. If you don't prioritize your education, who will? You have to follow through. Follow up on those priorities that you've set for yourself. Any appointments with your advisor, any study groups, any appointments with your professor. You have to make sure that those priorities within your schedule are met. Productivity. Identify your productive periods and places. Maybe morning, maybe afternoon, or maybe evening. You also want to pay attention to your environment. If your environment is not conducive for studying, then you want to make sure that you find another environment that's suitable in terms of quietness, in terms of the amount of distractions that you may have. So make sure that your environment is conducive to your productivity as well. And the last habit that we want to try and develop is problem solve. We need to look for better solutions to problems. If you don't understand something, don't just reread it. Try something different. You want to consult a professor, a tutor, an advisor, even a classmate, maybe one of your study group participants, or you can visit the Learning and Tutoring Center. That has been Information Processing. I am Jelani Liddell. If you have further questions, I can be reached at jelani.liddell@gpc.edu.